If he, what is his? The Zoom's connected? Yeah, everything's connected? Hello, Binyamin?
So right now it's muted because the share hasn't started, okay? So I muted the audio. Right.
Okay, okay. If you point out. He says, stomach is just a half of you. So, and so now we're going to say because he left something over his. It's from his point, his relationship to her. Since he's touching half of her.
I'm going to go over the Gemara in Masechet Gittin, and then we're going to do the Rashba together with the Raiv and the Rashba. So the Gemara in Masechet Gittin brings two things. Number one, a slave and a half an employee. The Gemara says, what's the Lord? The what's a suffix is since Leichazia Lekule, Chetzi is Kule, but he is not Leichazia Lekule because half of it is a slave, so Leichazia Lekule. Says not doing Lechetzi Ish, and is not doing Lechetzi Ish or two, because by Chetzi Ish is Shir Bekinyono, by a slave is Shir Bekinyono. That's a suffix. Again, when a person is Mekadesh, Shibrilu, I will read it inside again. We'll explain the two studying the two sides here. Ibrilu, see Ketarihat, Ketashtain, Ketashalosh. There's three parts. Reading number one. Ibrilu Misha Chetzoev and the Chetza Ben Choyerim, Shekidesh Bas Choyerim Mau. A man which is half a slave and free, and he married a Jewish woman. Mau. Page 3. And the Gemara explains the two study. Intim Tzeloimar ben Yisrael she'omar lebas Yisrael eskatche lechetza mekudeshes lechazel lekul or lechazel lekul, which means if you're going to make a similarity between half the person is mekadesh half of himself that's mekudeshes to a person's mekadesh half of himself because the other half has been as a slave, we make a similarity. Half a free, half slave is doimel chetzi ish, or is not? Because chetzi ish chazi lekuli. Chetzi ish, he can marry totally himself to two women. So Shuili, the other half, the ability to her too. Another man and surely this woman. Another woman, another surely this woman too. Although he married half of himself to this woman, but this Chazal Kuli can marry the same woman with the other half. And here he cannot marry the other half of himself because it's a slave. If you want to say Medamet to Ben Yisrael Mekadas Chetzi Isha, let's make a similarity to Chetzi Isha. When he's half slave, half Ben Choyim, should be, is not similar to Chetzi Ish. Because Chetzi Ish Chazal Kula, he has no ability the other half. So let's Medamet to Chetzi Isha. No. Chetzi Isha in the Mekudesh has the Shir Bekinyonai. You left back of the king. Or ever the Shir Bekinyonai, ever the Meshai the king. And the Gemara stays with a question, the Gemara wants to bring the Toshma and Rovez Doichet. So, what do we see? The question is, Rovez Doichet or you hold in the Mekudeshes? It's similar to Chetzi Ish. Chetzi Ish and Chetzi Ish the same. So, what do we have here? We have a Gemara that the Gemara says, Chetzi Ish ben Choyrim Chetzi Eved. The Gemara stays with a suffix by if it's doime to Chetzi Ish or to Chetzi Isha. Chetzi Ish is not doime. The Gemara says, Chetzi Ish has the ability to marry the other half. And Chetzi Eved, Chetzi ben Choyrim does not have the ability to the other half. The other half is Eved. And it's not doime to Chetzi Isha, which is Eina Mekudeshes, because Chetzi Isha, Shir Bekinyonai, and here the Eved, Chetzi Eved, Chetzi ben Choyrim, and he Meshai Bekinyon, he did all what he has. What's that law? But we learn out from this that the chesaron of Chetzi Isha is a chesaron of Shir Bekinyon. Right? Shir
What means
Bekinyon.
this shir?
Shir means leftover. Held back. Part of it is that he held back. Not a full kinyan. So now that I say this
But it's half on him holding back. What's the relationship between him and her? There's a difference between it in the Gavra, half of the Gavra, or the relationship between the Gavra and the woman.
The Gemara says the Shir Bekinyon. Those are the words. Shir
Yeah, but I know
Bekinyon.
what's the that's very nice, but is that Dafka? The pastus is it's on the Gavra and the problems with the Gavra himself, or the relationship between the Gavra and the woman?
Oh no,
because it's a relationship, then it's not the same thing. The spore is not the same.
open. It's open. Could be. You don't know. But the Gemara says that we do have a clear Gemara that says Shir B'Kiyon. The reason why when he marries Chetzi Isha doesn't work, Chetzi Isha I can show you that it works. But he doesn't have Shir B'Kiyon. Again, if a person is Chetzi Eved Chetzi Ben Choyri, he marries a woman. Are you calling those guys? Huh?
I don't think that they are here. I went to the room this morning and the room was closed.
Close.
And I sent them if it was closed also.
Okay. Hope they come down somehow. What? Oh, okay. Good. Shem Yishmei. Good. We should have a meeting maybe after Mincha. We'll talk. We'll see what we can do. So Lamaise. Here the Gemara in Gittin revealed to us Pshat in our Gemara. Now the Gemara says that Chetzi Eved In our Gemara, the Gemara says, Chetzi Isha, it's a problem. Chetzi Ish, we explain that Chetzi means my whole body to two women, but what will be Chetzi Ish? So Rashi seems to be saying will be a problem too. There's no difference between Chetzi Ish and Chetzi Isha. Now, what does it mean Chetzi Ish or Chetzi Isha? What does it mean? So the Gemara in Gittin redefines what is Chetzi Isha. They say Chetzi Isha, the problem is Shir B'Kinyono. You have the ability to do all, and you Meshayr in the Kiyah. Chetzi says I'm Meshayr B'Kinyon because the other Chetzi is Eved, so I'm Meshayr B'Kinyon. He's only Chetzi Ben Choyrim, I'm not Meshayr B'Kinyon. He said, don't even at the Chetziyai, that's Mekudeshes, or no? My Chetziyai, half of Mekudeshes, because he has the ability of all. He has minus Chetzi, Chetzi-ish, like Chetzi-isha. So, what really we have here, we have a Gimli, the Gemara in Gittin is Megan to us. Start in the Gemara in Kiddushi. But when the Gemara says in Kiddushi, Niskachi lechetzia. Why she's not Mekudeshes because Shir B'Kinyon? That's the Gemara. The problem of Chetzi, problem of Meshayr B'Kinyon. The problem of Chetzia is Meshayr B'Kinyon. Chetzi Ish, that is not Meshayr B'Kinyon. So maybe Mekudesh, maybe Mekudash. Maybe Stam Chetzi is Mekudash. No, Stam Chetzi is Mekudash because Chetzi means all, because he has the ability of all. Chetzi by Ish means Chetzi Mamash. Is it out? We learn from Chetzi Isha that the power of Chetzi is Shir B'Kinyon. So maybe also the Chetzi Ish, the power is only Shir B'Kinyon. Not Meshayr B'Kinyon, I have Chetzi Ish, Mamash. Because the other half is an effort. I'm not Meshayr B'Kinyon or B'Kinyon. Suffix should work. The Gemara is a suffix. So what really is a suffix? This is clear. Chetzi Isha, the problem is Meshayr B'Kinyon. That's clear. The question is, we say Chetzi Ish. Chetzi Ish. Chetzi Ish. There's no Meshayr B'Kinyon. Right. Chetzi Evin, Chetzi Ben Choyim, is not Meshayr B'Kinyon. That the only thing he has is only Chetzi Ben Choyim. The Chetzi Evin doesn't exist. It's not Shayah. So I'm not Meshayr B'Kinyon. So I have Chetzi Ish, which is not Meshayr B'Kinyon. So it should be better because the Chetzi Ish, why doesn't Meshayr B'Kinyon? The Chetzi Ish, in a case where this Chetzi is not Meshayr B'Kinyon. So it should work. Over here, no. True, it's not Meshayr B'Kinyon. It doesn't have the ability to do it all. We said Chetzi I, why Mekudeshes, Chetzi Ish, because it has the ability. Hazil Lekule. Chetzi Ish is not Hazil Lekule, it's Chetzi Mamash. So it's not Meshayr B'Kinyon, but it's Chetzi Mamash, which will really down deep in the scheme. It's the Xeras HaKosu. The Xeras HaKosu of Chetzi Ish and Chetzi Ish means Meshayr B'Kinyon. Chetzi means even not Meshayr B'Kinyon. Chetzi means Chetzi, like another Chetzi. Right? I made sure, very clear. Over. What are the going to the base of Chaim of the Gemara? Inside is Chetzi Ish is doime Chetzi Ish, Chetziyai, and Chetzi Eved is Chetzi Ben Choyim is doime to Chetziyai. The Moses no, it's not doime because they're Hazil Lekule, all Hazil Lekule.
This has a minor that the other thing doesn't have. So you have the suffix.
So what is the suffix? Summarize the suffix for me. Chetzi Evel, Chetzi Ben Cholim is not Meshayach B'Kinyan. It doesn't have the Cheson of Meshayach B'Kinyan, so it's not going to meet the Chetzi Isha. It doesn't have the Ma'ila of Chetziyai, because it has a Lekule. Yes, Chetzi and Chetzi Lo Lechaz Lekule. I am Meshayach B'Kinyan, which means it's not enough, according to the first side, it's not enough that you're not Meshayach B'Kinyan. Let's even show you Meshayach B'Kinyan, there's a deficiency. If I don't have Meshayach B'Kinyan like Chetzi Evel, I'm not Meshayach B'Kinyan. Yet there's a side that's not doing it, because Chetziyai Mekudeshes, because it means, oh, Chazal Lekule. But he's like Chazal Lekule means Chetzi Mamash. So maybe it's part of his Chazal Lekule. So if Ishmael Chetzi Ish is out, even though it's not Meshayach B'Kinyan, which means, in other words, Chetzi Ish is a Meshayach B'Kinyan, or Chetzi Ish. Chetzi. And deal, finish.
For the Kenyan is good, but the problem is that for the Hetzi part is completely rigged in a part, like it's like complete.
Yes.
And he can't Fudesh Isha. The problem is when it's the part of his image.
Yeah.
That
Yes. Cannot be married.
the part is.
But he's out as a court.
It's like the Hetzi not it's not a place.
Right.
It's Hetzi part is completely.
Right. But the Hetzi in one way is Hetzi, not all. But the other way is the opposite side is that is the Yinam Meshayach B'Kinyan, it's complete. And one hand is Hetzi and one hand is not complete. So that's really the suffering.
Women, that each woman gets half of it. That's not allowed.
That's not allowed.
If 2 women, and each one have all of it. That would be all.
Okay. You marry one woman and she only has half of it. Yeah, that's a Gemara Suffolk. That's a Gemara Suffolk. There's no Shir B'Kinyan, but there's no all. There's only hits.
Yeah, but it could be that
Next part. Keshem in the
it
same
could be
way.
that it's not a detrimental on him. It could be his relationship to the woman. The problems in the woman from his relationship to the woman is the problem, not his relation himself, who he is. It's that the problem that he has a problem relationship to her. She's problematic to him, not that he's problematic on his own. That's a different way of
You don't know yet. Next part. No. Yes. Yeah, but we want to know what's the cheson of Ketzish. The cheson is by Shir B'Kinyan, or the cheson is the mahut. It's a fact. You cannot have Ketzish. You cannot have Ketzish. The Ketzish are definitely known as the cheson of Shir B'Kinyan. By Ketzish, we have 2 cases. We have one case Ketzish that is a Meshayach B'Kinyan, and you have a Ketzish there's not Meshayach B'Kinyan. So. No, and you have a third Chetzi, and it means all. So when it says Chetzi, it means all. The two men, myself to one woman and all myself another woman. Say Chetzi, it means Chetzi, because he's a Chetzi Eved. The other Chetzi is an Eved. So then there's a Gemara as a side that seems like Chazal Ikudazon. So we see. The Gemara is a suffix. When the Torah says Chetzi, what does that mean? Shir B'Kinyan? Even in the Shir B'Kinyan, as long as Chetzi is no good. Actually, the two study, although the Gemara jumps from Chetzi Isha to Chetzi Ish, we assume that both is the same. Ish, Isha, both are the same. Ish and Ish has to be complete. Not Chetzi. You have a Hakir, what's a problem Chetzi? Shir B'Kinyan? Or Chetzi B'Etzem. The Gemara didn't decide. The Gemara says Toshma, and the Shaila is not clear what Rov removes the Toshma. Rov says it doesn't work. There's Rov Machira that is not only Chison by Shir B'Kinyan, it's Chison by Chetzi cannot be. Zeras HaKodesh is not a Chetzi Ish or Chetzi Isha. Okay? So even though the Maskona there, he gave an answer, he said, Eino Mikudeshes. So he made a conclusion, but if one is just the Chia, so we stay with the suffix.
Something.
So Machlokes Raivel and Rashba. How do you read the Maskonas to Gemara? We'll see soon, Bezalel. Yes.
Is it possible to buy something that doesn't work? Yeah, you can buy.
Yes.
Something that doesn't work or something that doesn't. So if you buy.
Why you should pay for it?
Michigan, whatever. But I don't know.
Michigan, I don't know what Michigan is. There's no Michigan is in money. Comes to money, everybody's smart, right?
Because how, it's not a question in Gemara, how did we get to that case? It happened, a lot of cases in Gemara.
No, so therefore we want to ask.
Even if you buy Petzi-ish,
Yes.
so we have to say that the Xenos is going to say you can't buy a Petzi-ish that it doesn't work for issues. You can't have a.
Right. That's one side of the Gemara. Yes, that's a concept maybe. That's a swallow behind. But Rabbi Pesha is talking last 5 minutes, the same thing. What's the Chesara problem is? The relationship, the Gavre, the Chefze, the woman, the man. We don't know yet. We know what the Gemara says. After we know the Gemara, then we start thinking of ideas. What ideas it could be, what it cannot. We have to eliminate. We have to do process of elimination. Stay with the only source we can choose. Yes. Yes, Rebbe Melech. Why not? I cannot do Kiddushin, Maisa Kiddushin, an embryo. He's not a complete man. And I do Kiddushin when it's in half a woman or half a man. No Maisa, no Chalois. Doesn't matter, it's the same. Now we're saying it's the same. We have a Hakira. What is the Chison by half? Shir Bekinyan? Yeah. If a Shir Bekinyan, so by a woman is Mishai, by a man is not Mishai, but I can have also by a man is Mishai. Let's say a man says, I only have enough Kuro. Says clearly. Only doesn't say Chetzi, and you can explain Chetzi means over two women. He says Chetzi and all. He says clearly. So it'd be the same Hakira. In that case, as Mashar Bekinyan, will work. Yes. Don't know. I know there's a problem by Kiddushin. What about buying something? Probably yes. Buying monetary world is different. Whereas only Chisson and Kiddushin. We'll see. All this the Beker Shmuel speaks about. So that's Hashem. How come what? You have the Kuloi. Is it something the coin over the way we live now? Is it something the something? Yes.
That's a regular man, not a slave.
What? A regular guy. The way we live now, the way we learn, I say is the only pshat. The way we learn, and the suffix of the Gemara was when you have Chetzi Ev and Chetzi Ben Choy, as a mile in the Kesor, as a Kesor, as a mile in Amishar Bekin. That's what's not doing it to Chetzi Isha. Chetzi Israel and Mekudesh Shir Bekinyan. He's not Amishar Bekinyan. You have Chetzi and Amishar. That's the mile. And the Kesor is that Chetzi Ev, Chetzi Ish. We translate Azil Lekule means the whole. Here's literally Chetzi. It's always literally Chetzi. And Amishar Bekinyan, no, because there's a problem with Chetzi. What? Sure. The same person says, Kiikach Ish Isha, and both of them cannot be Chetzi. Why we say is a suffix? Is a suffix in the Xeras HaKosher of Chetzi. What's the problem of Chetzi? The problem of Chetzi is Meshar Bekinyan. What would be in a case when the Chetzi is not Meshar Bekinyan? Suffix. That's the Gemara Suffolk.
But Rav Yitzchak, you're talking about.
So the should be the same. Because what's the problem?
Yeah, but that's totally in.
No share b'kinyon.
No shaya b'kinyon.
Right.
So he's the same as the woman. That's it. I'm saying that she first fuck. What the hell?
He's saying, so, 1 second. So if he says, if Chetzi over Chetzi Menchoyim, what's the suffix? Is lo shir b'kinyon, but he's lemaisa Chetzi. The other guy that says, Chetzi over kuloi, that says, only my Chetzi, not kuloi, it's mamish Chetzi. So lichoi you mashayim b'kinyon, and you have two giuses. Right, I made a mistake. You're right. Now I have what you say. So when he says Chetzi, I have two giuses. That's what I meant to say. There's two giuses. When he says Chetzi v'lekuloi, he has two deficiencies. Number one is Chetzi. Number two is mashayim b'kinyon.
Yeah, but that depends if you took if.
I want to marry only my Chetzi, the other Chetzi, not marry. No, I'm not talking about the woman. I said to you, you have my body, very cool. So now in this case, it won't be a suffix. In this case, it will be why not. We have two deficiencies. Number one is Mashayach B'Kinyan. Number two, Ketzi, and not cool. Says the worst Ketzi. Such against the worst Ketzi. Because he said Chetzi v'lekuloi. It's similar to Chetzi woman. In such a case, Chetzi v'lekuloi will be similar to Chetzi Isha. There's a Mashayach B'Kinyan, and it means Chetzi Mamish. I don't know if Isha means Chetzi not kuloi because the Beit Ril, so I know there's a small Chitzon means Chetzi Mamash. Plus, it's Mashayach B'Kinyan. Same thing is Gerber that says Chetzi v'lekuloi. It's like Chetzi Isha. That is also does a shiur when his Chetzi means Mamash. What do you want to say?
He's the case he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's saying like
That's what
my
I
house.
asked yesterday.
You are making connection with my house.
Yes.
He's the coin. There's no shooting the kingdom.
Maybe there is no problem.
You don't shoot.
The coin. That's
It's
what I
going out of nation.
Who says?
Why? Because his house now is just going out.
No, half of it cannot coin it. The key has to be in Kiddush, Ish, not Chetzi.
When you're
If you talk about Kinyonim, maybe you're right. Tatzi koine chotzi makne maybe works. But here the Torah says kikak ish isha, has to be complete isha. And Chetzi is a shiur b'kinyan, and Chetzi means Chetzi. But when I don't have Chetzi was no shiur, right? Like by Chetzi Evet, I have Chetzi mamash no shiur. The Gemara is a suffix. And by the way, it's also Chetzi, because it cannot be lebeit relo ekrazia. It means Chetzi mamash, and there's also shiur. So Chetzi has two chesoinos. It has Chetzi shiur, as Chetzi mamash, and shiur b'kinyan. The Gavra, when he says Chetzia, he means kulo. He says not mechlaz out of the picture. When he says Chetzi v'lo kulo, and when he says then they have two more cases. You have Chetzi and Chetzi ben cholim. So then I don't have a shiur b'kinyan, but I have Chetzi mamash. So the Gemara is a sabbath the din mahu. What's the law? And what would be the case when he says ben cholim? He says Chetzi v'lo kuloi. Be similar to Chetzi isha. There are two chesronos. I say Chetzi not kuloi. So I'm a Mashayach b'kinyan. Number two, it means Chetzi mamash because I said Chetzi v'lo kuloi.
not buy everything.
Because the same pasuk, this logic is not muhach, but I'm saying a logic that we're saying Ashas according to Rove, according to Rumi, Rashi learns Lamaskona. Rashi says the Pashtas. Rashi and Rashba that say that according to Lamaskona, there's no difference between a man and a woman. When the Torah says kikach ish, a nice question. The Torah says kikach ish isha. Both of them are ish or isha. Mitzad the kikas kiddushin, Maisa the kalois, whatever we're going to talk in later on. But the Torah says chatzi isha doesn't work. Finished now. No different man and a woman. Just naturally, a woman when he says chetzi isha, it definitely means chetzi mamash. Because Isha means Ketzi Mamash. Number two, Chesoi. Number two is Meshayah Bekinyan. Right. Just Ketzi means Kuloi. Cases by Ish. Ketzi Evid, Ketzi Ben Choyri. So definitely, Ketzi means Ketzi Mamash. Because it doesn't have the other Ketzi. But it's not Meshayah Bekinyan. The Gemara says, my Sofek. Question is, Maskolas the Gemara says it's not. Stays with us. Okay. What would be by when he says, Yetzi V'Muli Kuloi? According to the logic we mentioned, according to Rashi, when he says Yetzi V'Muli Kuloi, then it's similar to Yeshiv, it'll be no good because I have two Chesoinos. As Chesoin Chetzi V'Muli Kuloi, he has Chetzi. Mamash. Number two is Meshayah Bekinyan. Because he's a beneficiary. He says, Chetzi V'Lo Kuloi.
But there's no logic because the Messiah and the Kina is what you are coining, not the coining. That's what you are coining. So you are.
What do you mean the Gemara tells you should turn on the Gemara gives the term. That's knowing about the meaning. The Gemara gives that term.
Where about the V'Lo Bekinyan? Yeah, the Gemara says Eved that is Chetzi Eved. There's no part of Meshayah Bekinyan. What do you mean? But the Chetzi Eved is the koine there. He's the husband. So why is no Meshayah Bekinyan? The Chetzi Ben Choyim is not Meshayah Bekinyan. The Gemara says he's not a Kinyan. He's the makne. He's the koine. He's not the makne. Must be Meshayah Bekinyan. It's on both sides. And the koine the makne because the Torah says yes.
That's only if it's on the mice and not on the result.
Before you said that, it was us, man.
Right.
I don't see why that makes it less for us.
So now other Jens in mir Pikash. Those who say that Chetzi V'Lo Kuloi works, they would say that it's considered Chazir. Although my words knocked it out, it's not be'etzem. This is what I just might deny. It's not be'etzem. It's considered Chazir Kuloi. Okay, good. Good, Kash, good point. Keta Stein. I'm reading the next piece. Amaro. What is it? Amaro. Yeshay. שהמקדש חצי איש אינה מקודשת. In the same way, one is mekadesh, half a woman is not mekudeshes. Why? Shir bekinyan means chetzi mamash and shir bekinyan. Chetzi shivcho, chetzi baschoidim sheniskacho, and kiddushay kiddushin. The Gemara makes a similarity. Torah Shrab Rabun, the same in the same way. Shamekadesh chetzi ish and mekudeshes. And we know why Mekadesh Chetzi Isha Mekudeshes. There's two things, two Chetzvayim. Because there means Chetzi. Number two is Meshayah Bekinyan. Kach, in the same way, Chetzi Shivcho, Chetzi Baschoidim, Niskacha, Mekudeshes. Even though there means literally Chetzi, but it's not Meshayah Bekinyan. So what's the difference? That's Rav Chiza's Kasha. Rav Chiza Midom is no similarity. Also, Shir Bekinyon, by Chetzi Isha is Meshayah Bekinyan, means literally Chetzi, but there's another Chesoin, it's Meshayah Bekinyan. By Chetzi Shivcho, Chetzi Baschoidim literally means Chetzi. But Shir Bekinyon is not Meshayah Bekinyan. So Rona retracted. He retracted Rabbi, Amor Ali put it put a speaker on him, the Dora Shamakshela Azois, the stumbling thing, Tagas Yokhani. And on the Moedim al Divrei, a person will never understand the words of Torah. And this is very important to know. You will never understand the Torah unless you work out and you fall, you go again, you make a question, you made a mistake. It's not a problem to make a mistake in learning Torah. Why? Because you cannot really stand on the words of Torah. You cannot show them unless you stumble. What do you mean, Ein Odom Oimed Ella? When I say En Odom Ella, En Ella, there's no other way. There's any other way to understand Torah without stumbling and make mistakes? Can a rabbi understand the Torah without mistakes? Beginning? Not so. So you're better than a rabbi? They're living a mother, not better. Because this is the format of Torah. The format of Torah to understand the Torah is above you. It's a bigger wisdom. You have to bend to it. Yes, smarter than you. Bigger wisdom than you. You make mistakes. Not a problem. Question is that you stay with a mistake or you get up and you make a change. So you made a change. It's very important to know this. Not a problem. Not shame to say in public we make a mistake. Or a friend, or chavrusa. Yes, made a mistake. But what is the pshat? That's the point. So Rabbi Avuna put it on and says, I made a mistake, what I said. Now he retracted and said the proper way. But not only that, he said there's no other way to understand the depths unless you fall, you make a mistake, till you get it right. That's a whole iyun. Back and forth. What you thought in the beginning was a mistake. You get the final understanding. Back and forth, back and forth. Rabbi Yeshua Cohen, he said that when in some pages he learned 60,000 times. 60,000. That's what he said. 62,000 actually. That's what he said. I had to see him last month. Masechet Avodah Zarah. Get what it was. He came there, brought him in. And he said he went over some parts of Shas 62,000 times. And he said that every time when he learns, he understands it better. There's always chidushim. So you expect on the first time, he's a genius, right? He remembers every day, every moment, every second, where it was 2 years ago and 2 months and 3 days and 2 seconds, 2 hours and 2 seconds, what he said. Remember, he said, oh, that's a genius. Still, he said, every time you learn it again, you understand the Torah again better. Calls Manshem and Mash Machine, bro. So let's go on. One of the greatest things I used to love to watch, my father, bless his memory. I used to learn with him Chavrusa for many years, in the last years of his life. Maybe the last 15, 20 years of his life. And it was amazing that we were learning the sugya, we learned about Bekama, Metziva, Bas, those sugyas, Kiddushin, the normal Masechtes, I learned myself a couple of times before I learned with him. And what's amazing was that all the understanding and depth he already had in his mind. And he started to learn the sugya from the end to the beginning. Which means, and he showed that there's no way to explain the end and the beginning unless you have to add a couple of small parts in the end, which means, and then he worked it out. And he said, what's going on? This is the end. No, beginning. But who said, you're sending the Maskon and Ahavamina? He said, Ahavamina can have the Maskon, but he still thought, I said, what is it? To me, I was like a nervous, a young boy, young guy. I was very nervous because I felt not in a strong way. It was very easy in my mind. Remember that the average this way, the Maskon is that way. He goes, okay. That's a sweater, so why the Gav didn't say otherwise? Nervous. He's pushing me new problems. Leave me alone. I already got the Maskon. Another understanding. And he came always new chidushim and new understanding. Never the same. Right, Rebel? It was always like that. It was excited like a young boy, learning the sugi again after learning it 20 times, like, Like no, nothing, no boundaries. No boundaries. Chadash. No, I'm not afraid to make mistakes this way, that way. Okay, come on. But everything is new. To see how can you learn the Torah new? What's the chiddush of today, of understanding today? After you have all those years of understanding, what's the new way you can learn now the Gemara in a new way? A new understanding. That was the excitement about it. So, to me, was a big chiddush. So I came from a very different type of yeshivas. Everything's methodical, kasha, answer this. It's not really thinking. It's not really thinking again from the beginning. And you're wrong, you know what I mean? To free thinking. I came to the Diaspora Yeshiva and he taught me how to have free thinking. You don't know anything, just think about yourself. I'll start all from the beginning, right? What's the svoras? What's the having maskona? I'm not bound to nobody. Talk it out, svoras are there. I know that. Okay, but when you come from a school of Yeshiva Ketana, the rabbi tells you, the Rashba asked this question, you write it down. They answer this question. The Ktsoy said that. The Ktsoy, you Masada, everything, question and answers. I said, wait a second. Take up Shimon Shkop, and what was happening of the Rashba? He was working out to explain the Maskon, doesn't work, right? Now take us just what was happening. So then you have to return the whole thing again. Up thinking this, that. You speak for hours and days and months, no end. There's no end. Okay, you guys were trained like this, but don't come from that. Talk to your children, they'll be very uncomfortable. They come from a different schooling, different types of not really thinking. It takes years till you have to think yourself and be free. That's the real aim. No. It's only you came as an adult. You came as an adult to learn Torah. So you already taught you how to think as an adult, and you take the little information you have and think it all that stuff in yourself. And then you look. But it's not what the little kids, religious kids do. They're not going to think. They're little kids, they're not thinking. So you teach them the words of the Gemara. They teach them the Rashba is this way, the Ritva is this. When they become a little bit smarter, so they say, okay, but the choice says this way, can I give my answer? Wow, good. That's your answer. But you think free from the beginning of the Sukkah till the end, all those stories, that's already an adult, not kids. Can I do that? I don't have the ability to. Understand, rebel? He taught his yeshiva, we an adult. So you take even Baal Tshuvas, they don't know much. They don't have to know much. They give you all the information, they're not thinking. That's why he took the Sefer of the Ramchal and give you all the logical possibilities. So you don't have to know much. You can be equal to the Goy Vilna. Just slower, figure all the sides. It's all there. That's all. That's thinking. That's what it's about. Hashem should give us the bracha. Understand the Torah of all our hearts. Hashem is megala does the Sunnah of Torah. So let's see what the Gilu is today of 2025. Tavshin Pei Hey. Was Chodesh Tammuz. Let's see. What's the Gilu of Hashem that is megala to us? So number one, he says, Rav Chizda asked the question to Rabbi Ravun, and he accepted the question. And he says, you're right, he made a mistake. What did he change? He changed, he says, even though they said, even though they said one was Mekadesh, half a woman is not Mekudeshes. When she's half a slave, half free, she's Mekudeshes. Why? So she's Bekinyon, Chetzi, she's Mesham Bekinyon, or Chetzi Shivko. Or she's Bekinyon. So what really we got here? We got here, it's simple. The simple way we got, that there's no difference between Chetzi Ish and Chetzi Ish. Just by Chetzi Ish, there's technical. If Chetzi Ish means half the body, because cannot be the whole body to two men, because one woman cannot be for two men, so it means half. Number two is Mashal Bekinyan. See woman that is not Messiah Bekinyan. Because the other half is Shifcha. So it means half. But it's no Shir Bekinyan. So the Rav in the beginning said, Einu Mekudeshes, because Chetzi. He said, not true. Not Messiah Bekinyan. which means the main factor is not Chetzi. The main factor is the Namashar Bekinyan. So this is a steer at the Gemara before. So the Gemara before said that by Chetzi ben Choyim, is Namashar Bekinyan. So there's a problem. Here by Chetzi Shivcha, the Gemara's conclusion is that Spekudeshes, that Namashar Bekinyan. True. Namashar Bekinyan, but you have Chetzi Isha. So why the Gemara before the doubt? Here the Gemara holds it. Okay, this needs an understanding. What's the difference?
Here the problem in Chetzi Isha is not that she got married with two men. Chetzi Isha, Chetzi Shivcha.
Chetzi Bascholim and Chetzi Shivcha.
The problem there is not that she's gonna marry with another man.
Right.
In a regular Isha, the problem
Right, there's no Shir Bekinyan. You cannot, Chetzi means Chetzi. Not the whole, but he's not Mashar Bekinyan. The Gemara wants to say Bekudeshes. Why? Chetzi, there's no Shir Bekinyan, but it's Chetzi. We say the Torah says Chetzi, but Chazel Kul is no good. So why by Chetzi Shivcha, the Gemara says Kiddushin? At least should be a suffix. Understand my problem, Abel? The Socha. I don't know. Yes.
in a regular Isha,
Yes.
the problem is that she can't cohabit with two men.
Yes.
But here you Chetzi Shivcha, Chetzi Isha. The issue that is Chetzi is not the problem because there is no Chashav. You can have issues in that way. Because it's not the Hashash that she's going to marry with two men.
I don't know. What will be a Chetzi Isha? Bascholim and Chetzi Shivcha. She got married and the Chetzi Bascholim to a man. She can live with that man? Can that man live with her? Or he's using half a Shivcha as Shivcha and a Chefes Lish. What is Shivcha Charufa? What is Shivcha Charufa? What's the case of Charufa? That's the case. Half Bascholim and half Shivcha. That's Shivcha Charufa. So it's allowed. You get lashes for it. Yeah, Osham Toli. So the mice says, so Shir Bekinyan, but how can she can never live? There's only swim here. It's like Shir Bekinyan only, but like Hazel Kule, so why do you want to have a suffix here too? I don't know. What's the difference here?
Why do we say in the regular issue that Chetzi can't be?
Not only that, I didn't see no Achroinim, no Rishonim that speak about it. But what's the answer in your mind? That what?
That the man,
In the chair.
that's stronger, that boy has in Kula is stronger in a man.
Why?
He's doing that, he's more active, he's taking, so.
Opposite than Rabbi Gavriel. I mean, the Reuven wanted to say, the buyer should even half a buyer, but he's buying. But the Hefzer you buy is to be complete. Now you're saying opposite. The Hefzer can be half. The one can be half. There's no Shir Bekin, can be half. The problem is him, he cannot be half. What's the difference? You know, it's all him. Not clear to me. This Gemara is very tough. I don't think it's.
That's only if you that's if you look at it as the Maisa, but you look at the result. If you look at it as a result and not the action, and then what's the issue? It makes it a lot different than the action.
Okay.
If you say the Gemara has kavanah for the result, then it's easier to explain. If you say the action is that's your problem.
Repeat, please.
If you look at the problem you have, it's because you're looking at the case as an action. But if you look at it as a result, mikudeshes or not mikudeshes as a result, then it takes off the problem of the how you define the half the person. Because it's the action of half of a person. But if you look at the result, mikudeshes or not mikudeshes, so you take off the problem of half the person. It's a matter of explaining the svara why mikudeshes or not.
Mikudeshes or not? Stop, I'm asking. Chetzi Evan, Chetzi Menchorim, Mekudeshes or not? Sofik. Chetzi Shivcho, Chetzi Vaschorim, Mekudeshes. Not a Sofik. Both are the same. Both is Namashayr Bekinyan, and both is Chetzi. And Lechazel Lekule. What's the difference? Okay. Still, I don't have a difference here. I don't really see the difference here. Let's continue on. But if we're going to learn that the maskon of the sugi before Rova says, when the Gemara and the maskon the Gemara will prove and Rova says it's not mekudeshes, then it's equal. So sorry, so it's not mekudesh. No, it's not. It's a worse even. There is not mekudesh, and that's where Rova really said ain't mekudesh. That's where he started. And Rabbi Ravun and Rav Chizda retract. Rav Chizda made Rabbi Ravun to retract. He said mekudesh is because the only problem is the shir bekin. They don't know what happened. It's Rova and Rabbi Ravun. The Kesara of Chetzi Ish could be two Kesoiners. One is shir bekinyan. And if I don't have a shir bekinyan, but Chetzi is a problem. It's a side. Yes, something because it's a problem. And that's why I hope we conclude that something is Einam Kudeshes. He also said that's why Chetzi Ish over Chetzi Baschoirim is Einam Kudeshes. Because although there's no shir, but it's Chetzi. And on both cases, Rov is Machia. That's Einam Kudeshes. That's good. And Rabbi Baravuna and Rav Chizda that said that by Chetzi Shif Baschoirim Kudesh, there's no shir bekinyan. They will say the same that by Chetzi Evel, Chetzi Menchorim, that there's no problem with shir bekinyan. There's only problem with Tzis of Chetzi will be Mekudeshes. So then it makes easy. Now we got out of the choking, call it Nelson catch, right? Nelson catch. If the legs, you can't get out of it. Was able to get out. Got out of it. Why do we got out of it? By saying it's shitas. We say Rove and Iboilu. Rove concludes Einam Mekudeshes. Rove here also by Chetzi Menchorim Einam Mekudeshes. Because although there's no shir bekinyan, you have Chetzi in Metzias. Same thing is Chetzi Shiv Chetzi Vaschorim. There's no shir bekinyan because it's all what she got. But it's Chetzi. That's why he says Einam Mekudeshes. Keshem. Keshem not Einam Mekudeshes, also Einam Mekudeshes. He concludes that both Einam Mekudeshes, no difference. Although he talked about Chetzi Isha, but even Chetzi Shif is the same. Chetzi Eben, Chetzi Shif is the same. And Rav Chizda and Rabbi Baravuna that hold that by Chetzi Shif Mekudeshes, because there's no shir bekinyan, they were also by Chetzi Eben, Chetzi Menchorim. Also, there's no shir bekinyan, be Mekudeshes.
Halacha can't be, because if you look at the Rambam, the Rambam says.
I don't know the Rambam. Yeah, you do know the Rambam. The what? The Rambam learned in the first case is a Sofik. Show me the Rambam. Yes. I see only half the Rambam. I only know the half. Let's see. Bring your Rambam. Let's see. Let's bring it up. We have here. Let's see.
What was the question?
We had a question between the Steve and the Gemara. The Gemara says Chetzi Ed and Chetzi Menchorim was a Sofik, and by Chetzi Isha, Chetzi Baschorim, Chetzi Shifra was a Baschorim. The Gemara conclude that the Mekudeshes because no shir bekin. If the by who is no problem of no shir bekin, also by Yamin Chetzi Ed Baschorim, by shir bekin should be good. Why the Gemara has a Sofik there? Or even Robert says it's no good, and here he says it's good. That's
Yudzayin at Velten.
and then of Yudzayin. Ezu Shif Kocharufa. Ezu Rahuva Amur Batera is a Mishchet Shir Shikitcha even. I don't see what you're talking about. Mishchet Chetzi and Choim Shikidis, but Mishchet Yoev Chetzi Baskoy. Shikidis Baskoy are the Suffer Kiddush. She knows a Suffer. Okay. Let's see 1 second. That's one case. Where's the other case? One second.
We have on this.
We have in the paper here. Perek Gimel Alochotes. Let's see. Perek Gimel Alochotes. Let's bring it in. האומר לאישו, עסקת שהיא לחצייה הרי זה מקודשת. חצי אבן, חצי בסחור, יש גידוש בסחורים, זה סוף הקידושים. עסקת שהיא לחצייה הרי זה מקודשת. זה means, למה זה דוי ולא מזיר איש, האיש תיעד וחצי מצוא שאין לו אלא חצי. מקודשת. אבל אם הוא אמר לו חצך מקודשי, אין מקודשת. שאין איש אחת צפוי לשניים. Because there is not only Etzi, also it's Chetzi Mishar Beki. Okay, where do we see? He didn't bring the case of Chetzi Shivcha. So let's say, let's check it out. Chetzi, he only brings Chetzi Eved Chem Lechoyim Zesofek, and Chetzi Shivcha, and Chetzi Baschorim, according to this, both should be Sofek. Yes? And let's see if he says Mekudesh, we have a problem. Let's check. Have to bring the Gemara Gitin. Bring the Gemara Gitin, he will tell you where's the Allah. Open the Gemara Gitin. I will show you where is it. Bring the Gemara Gitin. Yeah, open. Where? In which Perek? Perek Dayan, Aloha Tetzayin. Let's see. המקדש אישו, שחצו שיפחו וחצו בסחורים, אינו מקודשס קידושים גמורים, עד שתשתחר. וכיוון שנשתחר או גום לקידושי, קידושי קטנה שגול בו ולצורך לקראת קידושים אחרים. Like the Gemara says that when he frees her, it's gom l'kidushi. Starts in Gomu. Now that the start is a suffix, could be yes. I didn't say it's the Vadai. Rama says very weird language. He doesn't say that now is Vadai and Mishtacher Gomu there are another half. He says Eino Mekudeshes Kiddushin Gmurim At Shilishar. It means now is a suffix. And when the free letter says Nigma. What?
It's the same as what maybe not talking about.
What?
It's the same as the Gemara is talking about. He just wants to add that there's not going to be a Mises based in. It's like the shift.
The Gemara says, right, we didn't learn the Gemara yet. Means now it's finished. So he said, what it means now it's finishing when he's freed the other half? It's not Kiddushin Gemurim until you free the other half. It's like Kiddush Ktana Shegodlo. It's only Kach Kiddushin Acherim. Boacher v'kitcho achar shenishtacho, הרי זה סוף הקידושין לשניהם. boacher v'kitcho achar shenishtacho. הרי זה סוף הקידושין לשניהם. Why? Because the Kiddushin started and finished, but it's a סוף הקידושין. When you go to one side, it's Nitchilo v'niskadash, but it's a suffix. And that's why boacher v'kitcho אחר שנשתחרו, הרי זה סוף הקידוש לשניהם. לא מפני שהקידושין הראשון הם קידושין גמורים. זה מגן משנה. אלא כל שבו עולה הרי כן ביוסו איש עשיש גמור והרי זו כקטנו. באחר וקידשו, באחר וקידשו ואחר כך נשתחרו. That's different kids. באחר וקידשו אחר שנשתחרו. not ואחר כך. אבל מה שקוראים על סוי פרקים וחושבים נראה שהנוסח הראשון נקרא. question, what's the נוסח? אחר כך, אחר שנשתחרו or and afterwards נשתחרו. If it's אחר כך, the Ginsa says shows you there's a suffix. There's no stira. The Rambam holds both suffix. Suffix B, the suffix is still the same. And when the Torah said, Chetzi, what does it mean, Chetzi? Shiur Bekin, Chetzi in essence is no good. And don't even man and woman.
Says, it says that this is Shifra Harufa over the types. So if the Kedushin is not a Kedushin or it's a suffix Kedushin, so you bring a carbon on a suffix. I bring maybe a carbon to a suffix.
No.
Value in the beginning.
Yes.
It says this is Shifra Harufa, I'm not telling you. Everything is married to her.
No. Shifra Harufa is Eved Ivre Shekidesh Chetzi is. But if we talk about Ben Choyrim,
Oh, but there's no difference in everything being Chayim. Why is there a difference?
I don't know.
Oh, you can't make it. Everything.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you can't make a Kedushin on.
What?
Only the Chatchila, the Ebony Brit, opposed to Ben Foreign is pretty yes.
Eved Ivre Belechatchila can marry Chetzi Shivas Ben Choyrim. Chetzi Shivas Ben Choyrim Shekitcho Eved Ivre Belechatchila, you can make Kaddish, because we want to show it. And the Chetzi Bas Choyrim, you can make Kaddish. The Chetzi Shiv, you can make Kaddish too, because he's an Eved. So therefore the Kiddush is saying, somebody lives with her. Stam, it's true that his marrying is a Chetzi Shivas Ben Choyrim, but then a Chetzi Stam. And then he says there's a suffix. Again?
And everything he doesn't do Kedushin on the Shifra Canal. It's just, they were yakin them for this. They're not Kedushin.
You're making it up. You're making it up. You're making it up. You're making it up. Everything he's allowed to make the Chatchila Chetzi Shivas because even Shivko, everything, you know what you do to him?
Even a cat doesn't have to be Kedushin.
And everything Shivko Knanis. I always understood in the Torah that you need to work, you make the slave works day and night. I didn't make it work at night. You give him a Shivka Knanis. And the babies will go to the mess. That's the whole part of the Torah. Doesn't matter. He does. Who says that's a Kiddushin? He's a Jew. He's a Jew. He's a slave. Every is a Jew, a slave, and he does Kiddushin to Shifra. So now, 1 second. He's Mekadesh Chetzi Shifra Chetzi Baschoirim. He's allowed to know so. The Tzad is an Eved Ivri. He can marry Baschoirim. The Tzad is an Eved Ivri. He also can marry the Shifra. So yes. Mekadesh go to Shifra in Kiddush. אלא הרי רק הקידוש כמו שיש כאן הקדוש. וכן גוי ועבד שכיסו בישראל. What are you showing on the nose? I said no Kiddush. Right? Jew. A Mekadesh is a Jew. And is allowed to give him a shifra to have been. That's Kiddushim. אין זו שפחה רעוף המורתו, זו מי שחצה של אחרים שכתו הבדים. Somebody who's with us is שפחה נחגת בסליש, right? What do you have? But the Kiddushim is how? Yeah. He can marry her. No. Yes, it was different. But he says in the case of a Jew, Ben Choyim, that lives and that marries Chetzi Shiv Chorozdas Choyim, he says, Ein Mekudeshes Kiddushin Gmurim Ab. And not only that, Bo'ochel V'Kitcha Akar Shenishtakero, and the Sofek Kiddushin L'Shneim means the Sofek. The matzah right now that a person is married, Chetzi Evel, Chetzi Shiv, or Chetzi Baschoirim, is Baba Kiddushin for the Shivcho. What's up with Kiddushin? The Rambam says, Eina Mekudeshes Kiddushin Gmurim, and not only that, if somebody else comes and marries her, let's give Kiddushin Mekudeshes L'Shneim. So what does that mean? הרי זה סופק קידוש לשניהם. What is סופק? No. What's the גרסה here? There's two גרסות. באחר וקידוש אחר שנשתחררו. הרי זה סופק קידוש, one second, but the גרסה, the Magamisha says, באחר וקידוש ואחר כך נשתחררו. That's his גרסה.
So does the condition spread out the whole time? Then the second one would not be, or if it doesn't spread out, so then the second one would be the condition.
How can you live das Rabin? Reading the Maggid Mishnah. שהוא פויסק בדין זה כשנשתחררו וחוזר ונזקצ'ו לאחר שהוא סופק. זה סופק. והביאו לזה מדור שם למעלה מזה מהחיזיקת של ראובן נשתחררו. חוזר ונזקצ'ו לשמעון ומייסו שניהם מיסיאבס לוי ואני קורא בו את שני מייסים. It seems to be that in the beginning is not Kiddushin Gemurim. When you marry a woman that she's Chetzi Shiv, Chetzi Baschoirim, and you did Kiddushin on Chetzi, the Rambam says it's not Kiddushin Gemurim. That's a fact. What? Yes. Why? Why is no Kiddushin Gemurim? There's no problem with Shir B'Kinyon, right? So why that have is not Kiddushin Gemurim? I can't hear. What? Ain't Kiddushin Gemurim? No. Not Kiddushin Gemurim. Yes, and then it's Nigma. But right now, before it's Nigma, ain't Kiddushin Gemurim. It's not done. Why? Why ain't Kiddushin Gemurim? So I understand that's very good. Point to this, the Rambam say, Chetzi Ish, Chetzi Eved, Chetzi Ben Chorim is a suffix. Chetzi Shiv, Chetzi Shiv, or there's no Shir B'Kinyon, but it's Chetzi. It's a suffix, and it's Kiddushin Gemurim. The other thing is free, so we look backwards as it started and finish. Let's say she never got freed. Ain't a Kiddushin Gemurim, what is it? The problem of Chetzi Ish, or not Chetzi Ish.
I think it's suffix, and it's like a carbon out suffix. It should be Asher Totally. It should be an Asher, it should be Asher Totally.
Good question. So what I was saying, there must be that is complete Kiddushin, and if somebody lives in Shifcha Nechefes, he's chayev on the tzad of the Kiddushin and the Chetzi. So why here in the Kiddushin Gemurim? Let it be Kiddushin Gemurim and the Chetzi, and then when it finishes, if the other half is free, the free finishes. You know, it's a problem. If he says, Evet Mekadesh Chetzi Shifcha Harufa, Evet Mekadesh, the Kiddushin and the Kitcha, Evet even means the Kiddushin and the Chetzi is Chal. So say, Chal. Why look go Chal? It's Kiddushin Gemurim and Chetzi. Chetzi Shiva Baschoirim Evet Ivri. So say it's Kiddushin Gemurim. It's only when the other free, so then it completes. Why is the same Kiddushin Gemurim?
And he says, it means the other here. It's not Chal, the other here. And he compares it to Kiddushin Tana, the Rambam.
Because there is a Kiddushin between the Kinyan and the Kiddushin.
According to the Rambam, according to the Rambam, apparently it's been never, Chetzi Ben Chorim, not Mekudesh, not Mekudesh. According to the, in the case of the Shifcha, Chetzi Ben Chorim,
By the way, before I need to listen to what you ask, because we're reading here, the Lechem Mishnah, that's a skasha. It's also in the Rambam. Territorial. he says,
Yeah, but
"Imo
Torah-
nafshach." Upaki kiddushin, ken en lo kiddush rishon, lo kiddush sheni. V'lo ipaki, ken bekudesh sil harishon. V'amar hem sofek kiddushin beget rishon levad. V'amar hem sofek kiddushin beget rishon levad. Tzak, Dean learns in the Rama and sofek kiddushin. Lechem Mishnah learns in the Rama and sofek kiddushin. What do you want to say?
Is because it's totally in the Gedorim of the din.
Speaking,
It's
Rabbi, wait a second. The movement is asking. Yes. Yes.
To the Rambam, ain't no good.
Yes.
And or it's a subject or
Chetzi Eber, Chetzi Ben Choyrim.
That's stuff.
is that
No Sofek.
issues Perek Dalet Alochet Zayin.
Good time. Yeah.
So here's issues Perek Dalet.
Chetzi Eber, Chetzi Ben Choyrim. Shekides Bas Choyrim, Ared Sofek Kiddush. So the Lechem Mishnah learns also if a woman is Chetzi Shiva or Eber Chetzi Yad Miskudin Kadesh is Sofek Kiddushin too. Rambam, that's where they learn the Rambam. The Lechem Mishnah learns, he brings the Magid Mishnah, he learns that both are Sofek. Clearly, since both are Sofek. Same. Exactly. So we back to what you just said. Very good. Let's go back to ourselves. Before yes, Reb Chaim, I stopped. Yes, Reb Chaim.
I'm trying to say that if you want to define what's the reason why the law is what it is, it's a suffix. It's if you look at it as the Gedorim of the din of Mikudeshes, that's where the problem is if you look at it in the Gavra and which Gavra and which part of the Gavra is Shayak is missing or that in the Gavra. But if you look at the din of Mikudeshes, what's the Gedorim of how you know Mikudeshes is Mikudeshes? That's where the problem is. It's not in the Gavra. It's in the din. They don't know what the din is. What the din is totally in.
That's it. I'm saying I don't know because you're going to mix the people up thinking in the end. First, we have to get all the facts. Then I will think about. Then we're going to start thinking.
Okay.
What is the
Said it. Okay.
Yes.
What is the case of the Shifra and the case of the Mercury?
Right.
In the
And
Shifra,
what we answer, what was the answer before you asked me a question? What we answer? Remember what we answered? Very simple. That Rove holds by both cases. That's Einem Kudeshes, Keshem, and Rabbi Barabun and Rav Chizda holds that by Chetzi Shiva that's going to be Shir Bekinyon Mekudeshes, also Bechetzi Mecholim Mekudesh Go Shir Bekinyon. So Rav Chizda and Rabbi Barabun are the only part of Chetzi is Shir Bekinyon, but when Amon Meshai Bekinyon both Mekudeshes, and Rove holds Mekudeshes. Because not only the problem of Shir Bekinyon, even if I love Shir Bekinyon, the fact that I have Chetz is no good. That's how we answer. Now we want to answer. Yes.
and המעריץ זה שהכהן צריך להיות יותר ראוי לקניין מהדין. ולכן איש שהוא חציו אמת, לכן שלא יכול לקדש, כי חציו לא ראוי לקידוש. אבל איש או הניגוס יכולה להקנוס אף שחציו לא ראוי לקידוש.
One second. This is what you guys wanted to say. But you want to say that the coin, now you're saying opposite. That's what Rabbi Yosef Chaim wanted to say. You said the coin has to be less. Now you want to say that coin is worse. That the coin is, you go, okay. Now you already jumped into what Chaim Feisha want to say. I'm not now dealing in Svaras yet. First, I want to collect the dinim. Then we're going to start learning. So now Rabbi Yosef Chaim pushed in the Rambam. He says, hey, I'll show you the Rambam. We found the Rambam doesn't say so. The Rambam holds that both are suffix. Means they're equal. The suffix are both no good. Both are good. What? No, because he holds the Rambam Paskin like Krover. Not like what Rambam tracted. The Rambam Paskin like Krover, that by Chetzi Yod and Chetzi Mechorim or Chetzi Shiv Chorez Vas Chorim, both of them is a suffix.
Either possibility, guys, it's something.
First of all, you asked me a good question now. The Bechetzi Shiv Vas Chorim is a suffix. No, Rove answered that. Rove on the Toshma. Rove says that in Mekudeshes. So it's not a Dechia Mekudeshes. She's right. The Gemara is Suffolk. Rove held. She was a Choyim or Ketzi. Both of them are married. The other side is a complete. Both of them, there's no Shir Bekinyan, and both of them should be Mekudeshes. Rove holds. But she holds. It's not only Shir Bekinyan, it's also Palm and Chetzi. And the boy on the Suffolk should be the Suffolk. We don't find a sheet that one is yes, one side is not. That's what we gain. That's what we answered the Rebbe Yosef Chaim. But I'll show you. He says, "Var seven mekudeshes by Chetzi Shifra and by Chetzi Eber is var." So, what's that so? This is the Magid Mishneh, the Lechem Mishneh. They are big people. Big Lechem Mishneh. That's a simplicity. Now we're ready for the third piece of Gemara. Yes.
I don't understand. The case of the Shifra, the Rambam says, "Einan Kiddushin Gmurim."
Yes.
After they release, she will be married.
Yes.
Okay, and in the case of the end, he says it's suffered. He says suffered. It doesn't matter if he's gonna get released. It's suffered in the same time that he's Chetzi. So it's a big difference. In the case
right before this freeze with some conditions. And then now when it frees, so is that clear in the Rambam why the Kedushin is going? It means father now. In the same breath, the Rambam says, if there was a shikhu on the Chetzi Eved, if there's a shikhu on the Chetzi Eved, he says, sorry, if the shikhu on the Chetzi Shifra, so then he said the Kedushin will be Nigma, right? That's the Rambam? Right. But he says later on, it's also something. He says, what's the case here? Amekadesh, yes. Chetzi Shifra, he says, Ein Kedushin Gmurim until Shenishtakero, Gom Kedusheo like a Ktano. After the Kichar is a suffix. Means he's saying on the side that there was a Kiddushin will be Nigma that Kiddushin when is Mishtaker. But it is a suffix because he says somebody after the Shikhu, somebody else comes and marries her, gives a Kiddushin. Are is a suffix Kiddushin Lishnei? Yes. It's a suffix Kiddushin Lishnei. So you see when you meant Gma is on the side.
What happens there? There's a machlekes in the Gemara.
Yeah, it's a gifsa.
That's one way to learn, yes.
Does it kata or it's nigmus?
But if I'm going one second, that's true. That's one way to learn. But if I read the Lechem Mishneh, he says, it brings the Magid Mishneh, Kosa Rabba Magid. Mikol Mokom Yesh Ktsas, B'Sifra Rabbeinu Kosher D'Argirsa Ein Lo Muvon Klal the Monoshov. אי אחרי שיחו פק קידושין כן אין אמן אלוהי קידושין גלג'ני ואי לא פק אם כן שסי להגישו אמר אין סוף קידושין בגט ראשון לבד סקי. So according to this girsa, he has a problem with this girsa, but it says here there's a sof kiddushin. Here, Hetzi Shivcha Zaschoivi, that Nishtachero, and somebody else comes and marries her before the Shichu. There's two girsas, after the Shichu. If somebody else marries her before the Shichu, what's the law? Yes, there's a girsa, that's what he's going to. Sorry, the simple girsa is that Ktsas Fori means after the Shichu. But Masha Kosav Rabbeinu B'Sorech Rashibum Shanuscha Rishoino that is before the Shichu Ika. So he learns that somebody else before the Shichu comes Mekadesh will be Mekudeshes to Shneim. Means it's what? It's a suffix. It's an Amal, it's a suffix. And that's Ika, that's Ika Girsa.
that. The Rambam said, I read it.
If that's true, that's the Iker Girsa. That's a suffix. Yes.
It's a suffix, so it's either yes or no, right?
Oh, the second guy, yes or no?
Oh, the
Why?
first guy's yes, the second guy is no. If the first guy's no, then the second guy is also no. You can't be better than the first guy. You can't be both of them. One of them is going to be married. We're just Masupak. Rosh is trying to say that.
Yes, you're right. You're a good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question, Rabbi.
So if the first guy's the second,
It's
it's
a
a
very
married or not.
So
So if the first guy marries and the second marries, he can't he can't be the same. How can I get the first guy married, the second is not? If the first guy,
Okay, good question. This is what the Lechem Mishnah, this is the Magen Mishnah's question. He says, what's on here? Lechem Mishnah, everybody is. He says, Vim ken ek kosav al-Magid, shemashe kosav. The Rambam Magid was machia, the Girs is a suffix. So comes the Lechem Mishnah, he says, Mashma mi perek vod mit chashibum, Dari shoyno yiko, that before the sheikh of somebody else mekadesh, both a suffix, or Ivana imineu pei, and remove the first guy is out, but the second guy is also down. The first guy is in, and the first guy is out too. The first guy is out, the second guy is out. So there's always only by the first, not the second. But so okay, so this Rambam needs explanation. You have to work it out, but don't think the Seika says we stuck there. Rashi says suffix. You have a good cash, but it says suffix. Yes. Yes.
If you want to say that it's the same law for both cases, Ever and Shishbo, why in the first case, Ein on Kirushim Purim, Ad Shishbo?
Good.
And in the other said so.
But those language around is tough. But I'm just saying what the Magen Mishnah concludes, that he attacks him, so you have to have bullets here on Goyal. You have to come and boil the Rambam. But that's what it says. So don't bring me answer from the Rambam. We don't know what the Rambam is saying. The way it's written is both are something. Okay, so we'll get to it. We'll learn a bit more. We understand.
It's Charifasi, Charifasi is Kedusha. The word Charifasi is a Kedusha. That's a sign that there is Kedusha. Why should you say it's a suffering?
Okay.
That's what I think.
He brought my father's Rebbe, Rabbi Zur, used to say, she brought another lock. You didn't make us any favor. Another lock. Want to untie the locks. Okay, let's joke here. Let's Kepa Shalosh, third piece. Gemara and Gittin, third piece. So we had it late. We didn't do much. Yes. So let's do the Machlos Hashitoisus. Let's see the Kovetz Shiurim. And I don't think we have time to do the Rashbo, Raven, and Rashbo. And we have to learn a bit of Shmuel, how he learns the Rashbo and the Raven. But at least that you'll have to do the next coming week. Okay? You have to do what? The Rashbo, Raven, and the Birkas Shmuel. And we explain the Rashbo and the Raven, and the Shimon Shkop that is explaining here, and he has other explanations, etc. But this is really the core piece. All we discuss by heart is really the core understanding what's going on here. That's really what it's all about. So, and already 90% of the job we did doing the Gemara well. Then we see it inside what they say. In the sheets, yes, in the sheets and page. I brought the Birkas Shmuel in page what? In page 8 and 9. So we have to finish. So we'll print the Birkas Shmuel inside. You have a Birkas Shmuel in your house? Everybody has. You don't have a Birkas Shmuel, you're not part of the SP sheet, at least the old school. You're out of it. So we have the Birkas Shmuel, and we're going to print it all out this coming week. Zat Hashem, and we'll learn inside the whole thing. Don't worry about Hashem. But we have to prepare. Showing in the Gemaras what's the problem is about. Sham, Itma. Yes, Rabbi Shmuel. I'm also lost. The same Rabbo. No, I mean there's a problem not clear. The Gemaras are not clear. But let's define what is not clear. Yes, okay. Get here? Yes, very good.
That's the idea.
Right.
We share that idea. So that's that.
Yes. Come on, Giti. The question is, there's something more or not? In a place when you don't have Shir Bekinyan, like Chetzi Shivcho, Chetzi Evet, Chetzi Shivcho, or an Evet, Chetzi Evet, Chetzi Bechoy. Two man or woman which are Chetzi. There's no Shir Bekinyan because that's all what they got. Question is, there's still a problem that Lamaisi don't have all. So the Gemara seems to be home that there's one side of the Gemara that is both as Sofek. Then Robert says all of them are no good. And the Rabbi Rav Chisa says all of them are good. We say all means because we don't make Yichil between Ish and Isha. Ish and Isha. In both cases, when I have Chetzi, Shiv, Choches, Choyrim, or I have Ish, Chetzi, Ever, Chetzi, Choyrim. That's how we came to conclusion in order not to make a stira in the Gemara itself. It's one way, so you have other solutions that went up there. That's how we solve the Gemara. Now we have a third piece of the Gemara. We finish with this. That's when we got to the Rambam. This third Gemara is very, very messy by the Rambam. We have to figure it out. What's he saying? For us, we're not clear to us. What is he saying? Yes, Rabbi. Yes. Yes. By Chetzi Isha, yes. By Chetzi Isha, I have tooth problems. I have Chetzi Mamash, because it doesn't mean two women. Doesn't mean that this woman will marry two men. That cannot be. So it has to be Chetzi Isha Mamash. So first was Chetzi Mamash. Number two is Shir Bekinyon. What? Chetzioch. When it says Chetzioch, we have two problems. There we have a problem, Chetzi Isha, because it doesn't mean Kulo, because Lebeit Lo Yichazyan. Half the woman means literally half, and doesn't mean conceptually. Cannot be, so it means really half. So we have a problem of half. Number two, the Shir Bekinyon.
Not a Maisa.
Right?
Missing in the Maisa.
Yes.
Where is that? I did not come.
We don't know yet. That's where Rabbi Feisha started to talk. And this I shut everybody down because I'm not yet there. I'm not yet there. We don't know which Shir Bekinyon comes from. Can say a lot of slogans. Xeras HaKosuv and the Mais and the Chalois, or in Mahut. Mahut, which means Kiddushin cannot be an embryo, Kiddushin cannot be an half. When you Messiah is a problem. Kiddushin has to be all. When you're not Messiah, all you got. But Messiah is a problem. In the Mahut of Kiddushin has to be all. It looks to me that's what Kashmir is saying. Well, I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know. So that's I just threw an idea. We're going to learn next week. To learn, to start thinking. Think off the box, inside the box. But I'm now doing only the information. What it says. Then you have to figure out. It's a good question. We have to make sense to ourselves. What's the point here? What does Shir Bekinyon mean? So what is Shir Bekinyon? What's wrong with Shir Bekinyon? What should bother you? And not only that, it's slogan maybe Shir Bekinyon only by a woman, but by a man, I don't care about Shir Bekinyon. I don't know. Good. Let's see the Gemara in Gittin, the last part. Keta Gimel, Shalosh. Itmar, we learned. Chetz Yoshivcho v'chetz Baschoi. Sheniskat Lehuve v'nishtachko. If I have a half maid servant and a half Baschoi that she got married to Huve v'nishtachko, and afterwards she was free. V'chozo v'niskat Shimon, she went back and she got engaged to Shimon. Rabbi Yosef Acham, and Kedusha Rishon. Kedusha got upturned, uprooted. And Rashi says, because the new beria, Shinui Aguf. So Rashi says, Afilu leman dehoma mekudeshes. Even according to the opinion that Chetzi Shifra Chetzi Baskoin Mekudesh Goliath Machlokes before. Robert says Einem Mekudeshes. Rav Chizda said Mekudeshes. So he says even one who says half Shifra Chetzi Baskoin Mekudeshes, because Lo Mishayah Bekinyan, I don't care about Chetzi. Shichu v'ifkia, the freedom of the other half. Umekudeshes lasheni. Shari nishtan legufo. A body change. The Avel Konchanoila is like a new baby born. So the old has been erased, like a goy that convert. Konchanoila. So the old has been erased. So if you mikadosh Chetzi Shiva, there's a man doma mekudeshes because is Shio Bekinyan. Chetzi Isha Shifra Chetzi I don't do Shir Bekinyan. Kodeshes Vada. Chetzi. But when you free the other Chetzi, Kadosh, Guf Chadash came here, like Shinui. Shinui Agun, Ishtan Gufo, Kotot Shanoila. So all the been erased, and now Shimon comes and marries, fully married to Shimon.
Not yet married. You have not a death penalty.
Nothing. Everything is erased. If she start and nobody else came in and lives with her, she's a free woman. The old has been erased. It's Nishtana Gufa Kotot Shanoila. Like a girl that converts. We say everything like no baby, the old has been erased. The only by onshim, by punishments, the Gemara says that by a girl that converts, we don't say that he comes from a light kedusha to a strong kedusha. So it cannot be that when he was a girl, he is free. Now that he's a Jew, he's going to be free from it. The Jew has to be more strict. So the cases where we don't say, people just say it comes from Kedusha Kala, Kedusha Chamura, that now is Kedusha Kala, because before, I remember I had one time a guy came from the Philippines, and the reason he came, he says, listen, I came to the yeshiva. Nobody knows them, so it's many years ago, so I'm sure nobody remembers. It's no Shaila, because we had many guys on the piece. So I don't know what the case, not Loshano. He says, well, when I was a goy, I live with a married woman, I cheated on my wife, some Chayiv Misa, who knows what, some Konta Torah. She wants to become Jewish because you heard that you become Jewish and your new baby being born and you're raised to old. I said, no, you're making a big mistake. You're not coming from Kedusha Kala to Kedusha Chamur to get rid of your sins. The Gemara says it doesn't work. By Onshi. What? You would. You would. That's what the Gemara says. So I told him that he was shook into his wits. And because of that, he went back to, he had other problems. Whatever it is, our story. What? You only can know. A non-Jew, sorry. A non-Jew that lives with a married woman is one of seven, stealing, is one of the seven laws. So who says that? No, so check the Gemara. Check the Gemara.
Jewish woman.
No, Bala Jew said Fini. Bala Jew. Say if you live with a married woman as a goy, as a benoyach, and it's Chayiv Misa benoyach, now he converts your racehold as benoyach. The Gemara said it cannot be because he comes from Kedusha Kala to Chamur, your race is old. No, it cannot be. The Gemara said it's just impossible. Remember that, Rabbi Yeshua?
You're clarifying the case that you just clarified.
Okay.
If he's a boy that converted to a Jew, what you said didn't apply. Now, if he's a Ben Noah converted to a Jew, that makes sense.
The Jew is not a married woman. It's ever. Benoach can live with it doesn't exist. But the Benoach is not allowed to marry a married woman. Abimelech deserved death because he lived with a married woman. He deserved death because he lived with a married woman. Married woman is finished. Okay. It cannot be now he converted to get rid of those problems. No. You're coming to a higher standard. Okay, yes.
Why do we have to have the second guy at all? He's him for in the case. Why have to hit an extra?
Let's go back to us. Let's remake her. I slide into another subject. I want to go back here. Yes, Rashi. I'm talking about now Rashi. Rashi says, we have a guy, Chetzi Shivcho, Chetzi Baschoirim, married a Jewish man, Ruven. And then the Machlokas, three opinions. Sofik, Vanayin and Mekudeshes. Mekudeshes or Sofik, it's a Sofik, and why not Vanayin Mekudeshes? Because although there's Mashir Bekiyin, there's still Chetzi. No, the only time Mashir Bekiyin is Mekudeshes, that's Rabbi Avun and Rav. What we said, but now that you free the other side, that there's Mashir Bekiyin is open with Chetzi Isha. She's Mekudeshes. But now that you free the other half, there's been a race. Go to Shaloyla. So I said, it's not like a goy that became a Jew. Go to Shaloyla. Races is true, is in one way is a racist, but not. Aveo doesn't erase, but definitely erases and many other things. Go to Shaloyla. Here's one of the things that erases. Nishtana Gufa, go to Shaloyla. It's finish. Yeah, the issue is poka. Rab Zero says, Gam Kiddush, it says Rashi. Al Yedei Hashichu Gomu, through the freedom is being finished. Also, Malchus Oyo Filu Mazid. He will get lashes when it was Mazid. From now on, it's not Shomer Malchus. It's now it's Mamisa. With death. So Gomu Kiddushim, let us explain why Gomu. Taisa says, V'amrin Perikame Kiddushim. Be'emes Hashutzi Yidish Chetzach or Yidish Chetzio, Alo Kitchel Gamra, you need another Ekdesh. How come this is really a little bit to your question, Rabbi Yosef Chaim? What do we need? Why do we need Gomu Kiddushin and somebody else came in? And we say the Kiddushin and Yishoin are finished, and there's no space for the second Kiddushin. Yes. Ashmei need Gdisha. Hello, Gdisha doesn't finish. So why here there's a side of Gemara, the Kiddushin is finished without new Hekdesh.
According to Rashi, why do you need a second verse Machlal? You have the same two starting of Paku and Paku and
Paku, yes.
Same two starting without the second guy at all.
Yeah, but when you say Paku, it's strong to say that somebody else with Mikadesh is totally Kodesh to him. It's a way to explain the two starting. Yes, you don't need. In Lomdus, you don't need. But that's a formality of to explain two starting. What do you want to say, Rabbi Yoshua? Second, Taisa's answers. Shiny also, that's what he answers. The Efshor Shatira B'Yochetza Damir Hegdesh Chetzachuli. By Chetzi of an animal, it doesn't finish by itself. Because even if you buy it can stay complete. It can become complete on this path. How? From Kedushas Aguf to turn to Kedushas Domi. So it's fully Kedusha. This animal, she'll graze in the field until she gets blemished. Then it'll be Kedushas Domi. And you sell it. Here, this woman was half a maid servant, half free. So the Kedusha and half the free. Now you remove the half slave. You cannot leave that situation. There's a problem with Chetzi. You cannot have Chetzi. This is Lichoyo, a very strong nasha against the Birkat Shmuel. The Birkat Shmuel says a problem of Chetzi Shir Bekin is on the Meise on the Chalois. But here, the Meise and the Chalois Kiddushi was done when she was half Shtiv Choyim. So the Meise and the Chalois was took effect. Everything is sweet and good. Now that you free the other hand, what's the problem? You have Chetzi left. It's already after the Meise, after the Chalois. We see there's no problem with the Meise also cannot continue on. You cannot have a relationship of Kiddushin, the Metzias of Chetzi Isha. This is what the Korbet Shurim says. Turn the page 4. The second paragraph. The Rashi holds us severely. The Sur of the Chetzi Isha, and Betchilas Chalois Kiddushin, or I would say Meise or Chalois. Alois on the Maisa. I'm adding Maisa myself. Of the Birkas Shmuel. Reb Chaim Alevi. About Shagvar Chol, when it's a done deal, Yochel is Kiddush, Reb Hetzi והגזר הסקו של אלוקי כתיש אישו, לא תצי אישו, שתעקיך על אישו שלמה. Since it's already hal, but when you it's already hal. And הגזר הסקו של אלוקי כתיש אישו, לא תצי אישו, the kicha, the meise kicha, the kalois of the kicha, תעל אישו שלמה. Putting kalois, kicha, we have the Chaim Alevi's Mochiach as what? It's probably kalois. The kalois. Toisa Svirle, no. The Evshelios Klan Kiddush Mechatziisha. Not only a problem, he's arguing that there's a problem in Chalos and the Maisa. He says not only. The Evshelios Klan, we adding. Evshelios Klan Kiddush Mechatziisha. Even after the Chalos and the Maisa. It came in the Action Nice Chetziisha, Shumo Chipaki.
What's Paki mean?
Uprooted, it's destroyed. Okay, we'll stop here. Yes, Chetzi. Says nothing to do with the Maisa, the Chalois, says the reality of Chetzi. This Taisa needs to be explained. So when you have a Shir B'Kinyan, Chetzi Shal Maisa, it's a problem. Chetzi Shal, no, a Shir Chetzi Shal. Comes Taisa says that's the Machlekes here. Going to one side of Rav Nachman, when they were Poki Kiddushin, because you cannot have Chetzi Shal in essence. So big Kiddush. Big Kiddush. So now until now we have two studying, right? Shir B'Kinyan or Chetzi Shal Naut, and that is only the Maisa and the Chalois. And we say no, you cannot have Chetzi, not even a right Shir B'Kinyan, Chetzi Shal and the Maisa and the Chalois, but let Chetzi Shal, then Papas. We cannot have Chetzi Shal Klau. According to Toises, Pshat in Rav Nach, one side of Rav Nach. Okay. We're going to see, but not Hashem, you have to see, please, everyone. You need to see for the coming week, the Rashba. He brings on the Raiva. He argues with him. Then we see the Birkas Shmuel on it. And Reb Shimon Shkoda brings the same thing. I mean, he talks about the same subject. See what he says, what Reb Chaim Alevi, Birkas Shmuel says, please prepare. Rashba, Raiva, Rashba V'Sel, Birkas Shmuel, B'Zrat Hashem. Pull Birkas Shmuel. We have more time, we'll see the Reb Shimon Shkoda and others. See after the Shmai. Okay, now I'm going to start with a Musa Shmuz. Musa Shmuz. My father, bless his memory, used to say, I used to take his hat, throw it on the table, to bring that story of this monkey that he had the best Rosh at Korach. And that's the only best Rosh he had. And every time, anywhere he plays to a town, they paid him for the drosha. He said, I have loads of droshas. And his handkerchief used to fall down. He says, oh, Korach. Oh, this was should be swallowed. I'll tell you about Korach. He starts with, but really, it's not the Shabbos, but now we have Korach. It's Pashas Korach now. Okay. Siyata Dishmai. So there is a very famous Rambam in Rambam and Perush HaMishnayos. Also is brought down, there's a Chumash with Rambam here, on the Chumash. They quote from different pieces of Rambam, whatever it is. The Rambam says a very amazing statement, which is a big stira, and our essence of our Amunah. You have to understand it, but he says that how do we know that Moshe is a Torah? Korach did us a big favor. Like Korach fighting Moshe Rabbeinu, he didn't fight Moshe Rabbeinu about receiving the Ten Commandments in Har Sinai. Everybody saw. He fought because he made all the Levim shave their hair. It was part of Levim. Nobody recognized and laughed at him. He said this and he said that, which means he made his brother, his nephew, the head of the building of the Mishkan. So he was fighting on the Teras Moshe, not Aseres Adibos Messina, which includes all the Torah, on Teras Moshe. How do we know that Moshe is what Torah says? How do we know that everything that Moshe Rabbeinu said in the Torah is from Hashem? Yeah, but Amar Sinai comes the Rambam. That's for you. Like Torah, fighting Moshe Rabbeinu, every commandment, etc. He says, you hear that? Everybody's holy. I'm older, I'm bigger. Doesn't make sense. And exactly Hashem would say that your brothers will be the head. And you live in definitely fits everything in your family. Come on. Must be your mouth from God. Whatever he said. I can't even say it in my mouth, but that's what he said. So what happened? Moshe Rabbeinu starts davening to Hashem. He davens to Hashem. It says in the Pasuk. And Hashem, he says, please let the Mizbeach not accept the part of the Korbanos. Please, Hashem, don't listen to their prayer. And he says, if I'm a liar, let Hashem create a new creation. And he said it to Hashem. We have to explain this very deep. It's very serious, very deep. Why? Because we know that our belief in Hashem, everybody here at the table in this room, why do we believe in Hashem? Why do we believe in the Torah? We believe because logic says so. I read the books of the codes and all those different proofs. No. It's not the reason we believe in Hashem and Torah. The Rambam says, that the first fundamental, the most strongest power I believe in Hashem and the Torah is because my father's father saw Hashem and Har Sinai given the Torah to Moshe. We saw it on our eyes. As the Rambam says, he brought that Rambam that when a person knows on himself, you saw in your eyes, even 1,000 witnesses will come and tell you otherwise, you listen because you saw yourself. Can't change everything what you see. It's not knowledge. Seeing is greater than knowledge. When you see in your own eyes. So if we saw Kabbalah Satira in our eyes, it's done deal, it's finished. My great-grandfather stood on Har Sinai, and they saw the Torah Kedoshah being given by Hashem. And they gave it over to my great-grandfather's son, and then to my father gave it to me. That's why we have a Masorah. I don't come to yeshiva. I learned Torah in a school and university. It's a Masorah Satira. The rabbi learned from another rabbi. From another rabbi to Moshe Rabbeinu. It's real. It's not a fake. You need to go to a Rebbe which he had a Kabbalah from his Rebbe. Masorah Satira. And he told them Har Sinai, my father told me Har Sinai. This is the truth. And this is really the fundamental, basic of the Judaism. I remember I went to this very famous reform guy, very rich guy, multi-millionaire. Reform. And he used to tell me, I don't even want to say the words. He said, I believe in Hashem. This and that. Believes in Jews, Judaism, but not in Hashem. I mean, they're all mixed up, old generation, 9 years old. All mixed up. But Lamaisi, he held very strong. So one time I sat with him, rich man, and I get money. But I wasn't getting money from him. I was getting money from his family, his brothers, sisters, whatever it is. But I was getting money from other people in the family. But I wanted to convince him. And I told him, listen, there's no other group of people, religion in the world that claim what the Jewish people claim. And now you cannot fake. This is the Kuzari famous point. Nobody claims that the entire nation saw Har Sinai stayed alive. As the Torah says in Dvorim. All of you saw Har Sinai, you saw alive. And you gave it over to your children. Which means, the Kuzari explained with his logic, I explained to him, a guy very charismatic person, very strong, knows how to convince, slicky guy. He can say, behind the wall, there's a dragon with 7 mouths that spits fire. And he's very strong and very smart, very charismatic. He will believe him. But he cannot convince people that behind the wall, there's 2 million people that saw the dragon and the whole stayed alive. So where are they? What they say, let's check in and talk to him. Not possible. You cannot make a story that millions of people saw a story and they stayed alive, and that's a tradition. Where we can contradict if you say such a statement. Not possible to such a thing. So, no other religion, even the Buddha, as they say, those 2 million people saw whatever he saw, and all of them died, and he came back alone. And those people he met in the desert, he created 2 million people in the desert. They saw it all die, and he came back. He went alone, came back alone. Thank you very much. But to have everybody still alive and here, and they all saw it, and Moshe Rabbeinu is still alive, he's coming to Israel. So all of you, your parents yourselves saw Mount Sinai. They stayed alive to you, and you little kids saw it too. They gave their children, not possible to fun, fit, and bluff. So why do we believe in Hashem? Because we saw Har Sinai. Here Lichoyer come on a new thing. Why do we believe in Moshe Emes or Torah Emes? Because of Korach. The challenge Moshe Rabbeinu, as the Rambam says in Perush HaMishnayos, in beginning of Perek HaChelek, and other places, that the truth of Moshe Torah Emes is from Korach. Because Korach challenged him and he was, what's going on? He said, we saw him. So this is the Sefer Korim. A lot of people want to explain this kasha. This kasha was asked to a lot of big rabbis, of Shach. What is really our basis of our religion, our belief? So we know Hashem gave the Torah to Moshe Rabbeinu Har Sinai. And the Aseret HaDibros includes all that. The 10 Commandments includes the whole Torah. As I'm saying, going. So he really gave it up to the Torah. The Torah is there. But how do we know that the appointment of Kohen to be the Kohen is a Kohen? That's already not part of the 630 commandments. That's applying with this person the Kedusha and the Kuna. So remember, but the essence of the Torah we got from Moshe Rabbeinu that we saw in Har Sinai, Hashem gave him the Torah. Also, logic says even for that alone, that Hashem gave him the Torah and he gave him the power to give it over to us and to apply it to us, and he didn't say anything else. Otherwise, must be that he agreed to what he said. It's not really logic. See, that logic, Korach argued. We have to have Korach to be swallowed to prove that. This is the way I think Sefer Korim brings it down. But one message in this parsha. Okay, this is known, not known, whatever it is. This is what we gain much from Korach. Yes. But the point is, we find in Chazal many times statements of Chazal which are very hard to understand, especially in our generation. For example, the Gemara says in a couple of places that in Masechet Bobas and other places that the world is like a kippah, like a kippah, like a yarmulke, and the sun comes through the rakia in the morning, goes out, or there are machloikis within Chacham Yisrael and Chacham Usoil. Does the sun goes under the world, goes above the sky? And the Gemara says that the rabbis admitted the Chachomim of the Goyim, and a lot of the folks explain that really the rabbis are right, but they couldn't prove it, so that's what they agreed. A lot of midrashim was very hard. For years, a lot of them I couldn't understand. And most of them, years passed later, I decided a few times to spend time on certain midrashim to understand very well what it says there. And most of them I found, in this specific one I found, some perush I brought a disc on key which has all, it's about 150,000 books. Oitzer HaChochma, but the new one, and the big advantage of the new one is you have the daf printed, and every line becomes brown. You put your finger on that line, becomes brown, and there's all the mefarshim in the whole Shas, 150,000 books. And that line will connect when they speak about Rambam. He says, on this line you have 500, this 5,000, and this Rashi, this toy says that. So it's a new thing of Oitzer HaChochma. Maybe we'll have to buy it here too. But the reason the machine here didn't work, so I went to buy my own. That's the reason I always stay here for an hour trying to print. Rabbi Shlomo used to help me a favor. Rabbi Yom made a favor to help me to print. So I wanted to look for things. It takes me 2 hours and then let it go. Enough time. But there's not enough spot. So when I put this computer, I decided, and this I'm going to put time now on all the midrashim which I couldn't figure out. I'm going to get the point I'm trying to get. Is either before I knew all the answers, or most of the answers, I randomly said has many aspects, and I would jump to the Ramah that doesn't mean kipshutoy. But it bothered me. It's very hard to say all those gemara doesn't kipshutoy. There's also pshat. What is the pshat? And how the pshat fits in our reality days. I said, you know what? I'll take a few midrashim which I'm stuck with. Now I have this 150,000 books. Somebody can explain this kipshutoy, and sure enough, I found that really the Gemara understands the world is real and keep it. I mean, it explains everything, and he has diagrams or some books here. Well, I found solution. And I was very happy, very happy. For years and years, I said, okay, all those Gemaras are not kipshutoy, or my father, bless his memory, used to bring me down. In the back of Masechet Broches, you have Shmuel Anokit. He wrote Klolei Hashas, and then he writes down that all the Agoris that Chachomim darshan is not Masoires from Sinai, and they darshan from their own bas, and if it doesn't fit, you have to erase it. So I went to my Rebbe's when I was in Slobodki Yeshiva, I heard from my father, and I asked him, "What is it? What is this? What's pshat here?" So they said, well, you don't know pshat, he said, but you should not really trust the Torah like you learn Iyun. You don't understand after you learn Iyun, you see that there's a lot of depths in the Torah, there's a lot of truth. Before you learn the Iyun, use that. But you should know in back of your mind, every word is true, even Kipshuto, one day you'll trust, and one day you'll find the truth. Sure enough, Hashem was mazaking it. Well, this day I found a lot of the things that I understand, I found answers. And this is really what I want to speak about. That's the point. Okay. Moshe Rabbeinu got the Torah on Sinai. But all the added factors, right, that he said, my brother's Kohen Gadol, who says he got it from Sinai, we had a proof of Korach. We know that all the Pirusha Torah that Chazal gave us in the Torah is from Sinai. Right? Or they made their own Gzeres and being empowered by Hashem to make all those Gzeres. Shmaras Mishmarti, etc. Hashem commands us then to give the pshat, to give rules, remedies. It's all from Sinai. But the things which they explain on the Sinai, do I need to put my life on it? Trust that this is what it means. See if they learn from a pasuk like a drash is okay. They learn from a pasuk so how do I say this? Then they had a Masoires from Sinai that's what it is. Sometimes the Gemara says the point is, yes, we have times, this is what I said, what I saw in my whole life, this is where the same point is. Yes, the whole Shas, 2,711 pages are all true, Emes Lamitu Misinai. And every Midrashim is Misinai. When you don't understand, Kepsutoi, so you say it means not Kepsutoi, there's a lot of Soida Satira. But he should know that one day, through the history, or it's already there, you can understand the Kipshutoi. And now you see in many, many places, we had our classes here at night. Remember, we had the distance between the whole world is between heaven and earth and heaven. We found the same numbers, right? Well, things that years when I learned as a young man, I could never understand that, what it means. Heaven and earth is much, there's no same distance, atmosphere. It's about 9,000 kilometers. Oh, we got on the bring Melech, you checked it out. But we was the same and said a lot of things that we couldn't figure it out. Years later, we found out what the Gemara means. Kept the pshat, not the secrets of the secret of is all that true. But the pshat is also true, just not always, and you have to trust. It's always true. And Moshe Emes, the Torah says, yes. The Zagin is going to think of.